Hey everybody, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. Today, what I want to talk about is don't get suckered in. Don't be a garden sucker. And what I mean by that, alright, look, it has been cold here. Alright, last week we had sleet, snow in Pensacola. I mean, actually Pensacola had more snow than a whole bunch of places up north, which is insane. Alright, we're in Florida. We don't get that kind of snow. Alright, Milton, Florida got 8.8 inches of snow last time I saw. Of course, that's all gone now. We had sleet here. My pool enclosure was all iced over from the sleet. We actually had sleet that lasted like 3 days. My neighbor's AC unit froze over with like an inch of ice. Had to help get that all off. So it's been rough. But right now, it is 70 degrees and beautiful. I mean, just fantastic. But what's going to end up happening is you're going to see all the big box stores are going to start putting out all of their vegetables to be planted in the garden. They probably already have them out. I don't know. I haven't been there in a few days. So everybody's going to be like, oh man, it's time, it's time, it's time. But I want to caution you. All right, the last frost date, projected last frost date here in Northeast Florida, Jacksonville area in particular, is between the 15th and the 25th of February. Alright, so what does that mean? Well, considering historically timed frosts and all of that, and then the projected weather patterns for this time of year here in Florida, it is more than likely going to be frost all the way up until that time. So basically another month from now. I mean, it is the 27th of January right now. And so what's going to end up happening is a lot of people can go out and buy all these vegetables. They're going to put them in their garden, and then we're going to get a frost. And when that happens, it's going to freeze a lot of these vegetables off, particularly tomatoes, peppers, all of that good stuff that has been grown in a greenhouse. You're going to put it in the ground, and it's going to get frosted, and it's going to die back. So my recommendation is wait. Just wait. If you want to get going, either put them in the house if you have a south-facing window where it can get some sun, or do like I've done and put them in a greenhouse. Alright, let me show you what I got going on with my greenhouse. So Santa Claus was very, very good to me and brought me this beautiful greenhouse. And this is really nice for if you got a patio out back or something like that you can put this on. It's a 6 foot by 8 foot, and it's a pop-up. And let me show you what I'm talking about. That's the greenhouse. And then if you come in and look at the structure inside, you'll see basically you just pull down on this and it'll allow it to fold back up into a pop-up. Now this doesn't come with any shelves or anything, but it's a nice roomy greenhouse. It's 6 foot by 8 foot, like I said. It didn't come with shelves, so I did build this shelf to put stuff in. And then I've got various other plants that I didn't want to freeze also in here. We had it a lot more full, had a lot more stuff in here, but we've since taken some of that out since the weather's going to be really nice. But therein lies the problem. So in here, what we have so far, and I planted most of this. I know Mr. Kitty. She's like, what's going on here? Are there any lizards? I really like lizards. Mr. Kitty! I know. Alright, anyway, enough about the cat. So, I planted this all up. Let me pull this off. I planted all this up here like the first week, like the end of the first week in January. Alright, and so far, I just haven't got much anything to grow. Now these ones back here just got planted yesterday, but like this here is the only thing that's growing, and you can see that I've actually got some tomato plants coming up. Those are the German Queens, but all of this got planted up, and like the Roselle, this is all Roselle. None of the Roselles popped up because those aren't Roselle, that's actually weeds because I use dirt for my garden. This is tomato plants, and they're not, that's not a tomato plant. Alright, that is a weed as well. Zucchini is a nice thick plant. That's not zucchini. That's all weeds as well down here. So basically nothing. This is cucumbers. Again, nothing there. And this is another set of cucumbers there. Nothing there. And you'll see right down there, I've got a little space heater. Now, one of the things about a greenhouse and a space heater is you want one with a thermostat. And this is a mechanical thermostat, so you kind of got to adjust it to the temperature that you want. And this one has a fan as well. All right, so you want that air to move around as much as possible when you're putting it in a greenhouse, because otherwise, basically, the heat will just rise up to the ceiling, and it'll just go through the top of the roof. So, what am I telling you? And the greenhouse is great. All right, you need some place where plants can stay warm. All right, now these, because the greenhouse heat, like I got out here this morning, or actually early afternoon, and the heat was already up to 92 degrees in here, so I had to actually back that back down again by opening everything up. This has got windows too, which I love, so I can roll up the windows, let the heat out that way, or roll up the door, and it's got doors in both front and back, so you can actually ventilate it pretty well. All right. But with the heater, I've been able to keep the temperature above 40 degrees for the duration. And I've had these, like I said, going on through some really cold nights. I mean, we've been down in the 20s and so on. And everything's doing pretty well. I'm going to take you out and show you the garden next. But if you're going to go out and buy plants and try and put them in your garden right now, you've got a really high probability of failure. All right, unless you have some way to cover those plants. It would be far better if you really want to get the plants, that you go ahead and grab them, pot them up, and I'll show you. I've got some videos. I'm going to show you how I went about planting those. I'm going to link a video from last year up here, what to plant in January, and what to plant and how to pot up plants. I'll put both of those links up. But you can pot them up, get them in bigger pots, and then put them in your house or someplace that's going to stay above 40 degrees, because anything below 40 will kill tomato plants and peppers. All right, you're just not going to make it. And particularly young plants, they're just not going to do well. So you're better off waiting, or if you have some way of covering them in a greenhouse or something like that, or covers out in the garden where you can actually cover up your plants before a freeze, then you can start putting them out. But I would be cautious, because of the fact that, all right, the best covering in the world isn't going to save a plant that's covered by plastic or what have you if the temperatures get down too low. And like we've been mid-20s here recently for like 3 days in a row. That's when we got that sleet. It was like, I think it was 3 days that we were down into the mid to upper 20s, somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on where you're at. Our weather here is so variable, because of the fact that we're like right at that edge of freezing. So like I was telling you, my neighbor's air conditioner froze up. Mine did not. Mine had no ice on it. His, had like a good inch of ice covering the entire thing. So it just kind of depends on where you're at and what your microclimate is here. Like one of the things that really defines kind of the weather patterns around here is I-95. If you're west of I-95, it's usually 3 to 4, maybe even as much as 5 degrees cooler than what you're going to see if you're east of I-95. All right, so it really varies depending upon where you're at in the Jacksonville area, as far as Jacksonville. And then again, with Florida, it all depends on where you're at with Florida. A few miles south is a little bit warmer, a few miles north is a whole lot colder. So we're like right at that edge where it just all kind of depends on the weather pattern and the winds. But don't get suckered in. Don't start buying a whole bunch of stuff, with some exceptions. And I'm going to show you some of those exceptions right now. Let's go take a look. Alright, so we're going to take a quick look around here and kind of see what will make it, and some of the things you can plant if you really want to get to planting now. Alright, like if you look down here, this is my lettuce. Lettuce did okay, but even on the lettuce, you can see that there's some rough patches. Things got a little bit wilty. And that was when the temperatures got down to, like I said, in the 20s. The red lettuce did fine. Over here, I've got the kale. Kale actually likes it when it's cold, and it's slowly growing up. Sadly, this particular part of my garden is not doing as well, and I think it's just a lack of fertility, so I'm constantly been adding more compost into it. I'm going to try and get it a little more fertile by adding more and more compost as we go along. Carrots did fine. You can see the carrots are growing really good. And I talked before about how the cat got in here and it tore up all my seeds, so I've got some stuff some places and some stuff others, just because they spread it around. If you look over here, this is my tatsoi, radishes, and behind that collards. The collards are doing fine, but you can see some purpling on the leaves from the cold. All right, you know, all of these are designed to take a frost, but not a heavy freeze. All right, and like I said, we got sleet, and it sleeted all on these. I did not cover any of this up. Onions did fine. All right, you can see my garlic over here. It's doing okay. All right. No real issues with the garlic. I know this looks like a lot of weeds, but I actually planted a whole bunch of cilantro. Man, it smells so good, and it tastes really good. And with the Mexican cooking we do, it's really nice. I'm going to get out here and harvest a bunch of this young cilantro. Leave a few plants, but I got to kind of uncover some of my onions and such. As you can see, I've got onions right here and all down that row, and the mustards of course did fine. Mustards, I don't know, it's hard to kill mustards. And I do have onions in here, like right there. I just got to get some of this cilantro out, and then we'll take and dry that, and then the rest of the weeds will have to go. I got to get it all cleaned up. Leave a few cilantro plants so that they can get big, make some seeds, and of course make more cilantro. I actually did this because I didn't think my cilantro seed was still good, but it's just fine, and it's like 5 years old. But anyway, so a lot of things make it. If you look over here, you'll see I've got my chard. This is I forget the name of it now. What's it called? Swiss chard, the Japanese mountain. Oh yeah, Japanese mountain spinach, which is a type of Swiss chard. We've got the bok choy, which is doing well. We just pulled out all of our radishes. I'm gonna have to replant the radishes. Got some more of the garlic. Back there is cabbage. My spinach, which was behind there, didn't do well. You know, I don't know what it is. I just can't keep spinach growing. But as far as cold, all of these survived that really harsh cold and are doing good. You can see some folding, a little bit of dead leaves here and there, but for the most part, the plants did fine in the cold. And that's the kind of stuff, if you really want to start planting, you should plant now. All right, so like I said, and what this video is really all about, not so much what's growing, but it's all about not getting suckered in. If you go out right now and you buy a whole bunch of plants at, you know, Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, any of the stores that have got plants, and they're surely all going to have them here real soon if they don't already have them out. Wait. Either wait to buy them, or wait by putting them in the house somewhere, or putting them in a greenhouse or something that's going to keep them protected, because it's a pretty good chance that between now and a month from now, all right, one of the 3 months of winter time, we're going to get another freeze. I would probably wait until either the end of February or beginning of March before I actually started putting these plants out. Now, worst comes to worst, all you're going to lose is a few bucks for the plants, but that's a few bucks you lost from putting plants in the ground a little too early. The exception to that is if you can cover them. All right, so don't get suckered in. The plants that you can get going now, onions, lettuces, cold crops that will take a frost, like Swiss chard, bok choy, tatsoi, cabbage, beets, just all of those plants that will take a frost. And you can see that on the back of these packages of seeds as to whether or not they're frost hardy, or you got your phone with you, you can always look it up and see whether or not the plant that you're fixing to buy is actually a frost hardy plant. I will tell you that peppers, eggplant, tomatoes, a lot of that kind of stuff just isn't going to make it in the cold. Garlic, if you haven't already got your garlic out, you're really pushing the time frame, so I would highly recommend getting it out. Same thing with onions. If you haven't got your onions out yet, I would highly recommend getting them out soon, and probably by sets, or the smaller onions to put out, because if you're starting from seed right now, you're probably too late. You're not going to get real big onions. You'll still get onions, they just won't be real big ones. Now the exception to that is the bunching onions. Those continue to grow throughout the year. That's not a problem at all. Alright, so thanks for stopping by. Like I said, don't get suckered in. Wait at least until the middle of February. But other than that, get something growing in your yard. You'll thank yourself later when you can be sitting in the kitchen going, man, I really wish I had a salad. You know what? I'll just walk out to my backyard and go grab it. Alright, thanks for stopping by. Like I said, grow something in your yard and come back and see me.